This week's Torah portion, Va'eschanan, is a big one. It's Moshe's final swan song as he pleads, Va'eschanan, and I pleaded with Hashem to enter the land of Israel. When the Jews demanded water, God told him to speak to the rock. However, since he hit the rock instead of speaking to it, he was barred from entering the land. Because of his impatience, Joshua would be the one to lead the nation into the Holy Land. Many things are mentioned in the Parsha. God asked Moshe to ascend the mountain and look at Israel from a distance. Then Moshe continues his repetition of the Torah, which began last week in Parshas Devorah. Relaying our history, he talks about our exodus from Egypt, the giving of the Torah, and the main tenets of our faith, such as the unity and oneness of God. How Hashem loyally showed us miracles, and we should not submit to idolatry. The prophecy that since we have not been completely loyal to Hashem, the people will be scattered amongst the nations. But Moshe comforts us that we will return to Hashem and he will bring us back to the land. This high-powered Parsha contains the 10 Commandments, the Shema, belief in God, and the study of his Torah, along with the mitzvah of tefillin. Since I was a very small child, I knew the first lines of the Shema. At our temple, it was called the watchword of our faith. Our parents said it with us before we went to sleep. Even if I didn't learn anything significant in Sunday school, our parents, and especially my mother, instilled in me the belief in God as one. We would say it first in Hebrew, then with the translation from our prayer book, Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one. Later I learned that God is not only one in number, meaning there's only one God, but he's also a complete unity, and everything is contained in him. One of the various names of God is Hamakom, the place of all. Hashem is also one in his complete unity, that he contains everyone and everything in him. If you have ever read the Shema from the Torah itself or from a prayer book, you will observe an interesting phenomenon with the size of the letters in this verse. The last letter of the word Shema is an ayin, and it is large, and the last letter of the word echad is dalid. It is also larger than the other letters. Together they spell aid, which means witness. Hashem is asking us to listen and be a witness that he is the only God in the heavens and the earth. Also, because of this, we are supposed to have kavanah, intention, and meditate on God's unity. There's an inspirational mnemonic contained in this word. The first letter of echad is aleph, which in gematria is the number 1, the first letter in the aleph base. This signifies God's primacy as the first cause, his oneness, and his unity, as we mentioned above. The ches equals 8 in gematria, referring to where hamakom resides. This is the 7 heavens and the earth. And finally, dalid refers to the 4 directions. So the kavanah on the word echad should be how God is one in the 7 heavens and the earth and in the 4 directions. In other words, everywhere. Hamakom, the place of all. Another fascinating thing about the word echad is if we add up all those letters, the gematria adds up to 13. 13 in general has significance, but besides the 13 laws of Torah exegesis, 13 are the principles of faith expounded by Maimonides, which begin with the first several principles about God, his incorporeality, his unity, and his oneness, one alone. Finally, I'd like to share a thought from Reb Menachem Mendel of Kotsk, a sharp-witted Hasidic Rebbe. When I studied Torah in Beis Chana in Minnesota, Rabbi Moshe Feller, may he be healthy and well, shared this idea. The second paragraph of the Shema says, "And these words that I command to you today should be on your heart." You might wonder why God doesn't ask us that his words be placed in our heart. Rabbi Feller explained the interpretation of the Kotzker Rebbe. Saying, on your heart, and not in your heart, means this. Sometimes we are stubborn and our heart is closed and unreceptive to ideas, and the Torah just won't go in. Nonetheless, we can still put the words on our heart, so when it does open, the words will be there and will fall right in. Similarly, the Chidushei Harim, Rabbi Yitzhak Meir Rothenberg, says that the words of Torah should always be on your heart. Then, if we put enough energy into them, they will burn through the cover that conceals the heart and will fall in, and the concepts will enter the mind of the person. Sometimes we are not receptive even to ideas that might be pleasant or good for us. Nevertheless, we should at least be able to consider them with an open mind. Even if the concepts don't penetrate our stubborn minds, later over time, we may find a way to acclimate to them and our hearts and minds become more open and receptive. May we all be able to at least learn the words, place them on our heart, or learn them by heart. Then, we are promised by the Kotzker Rebbe that eventually, at the opportune time, they will fall right in.